Anxiety Hacks Part 5 with Dr. Scott Monk. Today we're going to be talking about powerful supplements and how to use them to help control the fight or flight response, anxiety, and especially adrenaline dominance. We've been discussing the 8 R's. We're on number 3, replenish. These supplements are the miracle makers, and it's true, if you use these supplements appropriately, we see all sorts of anxiety resolve. We break people out of the adrenaline dominance grip, and we can restore normal physiology. Now, the first 4 of the 8 R's are designed to help you restore the physical side of your body. The next 3 are designed for the emotional, spiritual aspect because so much of anxiety finds its home in the mind. And the final 8, relocate, is to say no to high-stress environments. That's so you realize the situations that you were in the past that put you in a state of anxiety. Those are the things you want to say no to going forward in the future. That's the prevention side. Now, adrenaline dominance. Anxiety disorders, phobias, panic attacks, and dozens of other stress-related symptoms can easily turn into the chronic state of adrenaline dominance. Genetics, emotions, chemistry, and lifestyle. I call these the core 4. These are the reasons why we get into a state of anxiety or fight or flight, and why that fight or flight turns into an automatic fight or flight called adrenaline dominance. Your genetics are whoever you are and whoever you may become. Your emotions are whatever you can't get out of the mind, fears, dreams, anxieties, desires. Your chemistry is whatever you put in your mouth or on the body, whatever you eat, drink, breathe, or apply. Lifestyle is however you maintain the body, hydration, exercise, sleep, etc. Here's the logo for the core 4, but those are the things you want to remember about how you got in the situation you are right now. This is a representation of what the stress response does. How it can start off in the upper right with stress response, turn into low stomach acid, blood sugar imbalances, gut inflammation, and so on. Here's what it causes when you've had those conditions spinning for a while. Things like anxiety, panic attacks, acid reflux, sugar cravings, food sensitivities, and so forth. This is the poster I have in my office that has both of those wheels on it with the core 4 in the center. And on the outer part of this wheel are all the debilitating conditions that people end up with, why they end up going to the hospital and being on prescription medications and so forth, because they let the wheels spin too long in fight or flight. Specifically, the effects of adrenaline with regards to the supplements you're going to need to restore your body and calm down the fight or flight response are these. A decrease in stomach acid equals decreased protein and mineral absorption. This is one of the most common effects of prolonged fight or flight. In the beginning with fight or flight, you have acute levels, high levels of stomach acid, but that doesn't last long. If you're in any prolonged state of fight or flight, your stomach acid levels will drop, your protein absorption and your mineral absorption will drop. This leads to those vicious cycles that we just saw on the poster. Decreased detoxification equals up or down hormonal fluctuations, and inability to process and utilize efficiently fat-soluble vitamins. Increased cellular inflammation happens when the oils of the body become decreased. We don't have sufficient essential fatty acids. The cell membranes of the cells become inflamed. That means nutrients don't move in and out of the cells efficiently. And now you can start seeing the signs of that, things like poor function, but swollen tissues, inflammation, arthritises, and so forth. Specifically, increased gut inflammation equals immune system dysregulation and or allergies. The majority of allergies that people have that are seasonal, where they say every springtime the pollens hit and I'm debilitated from my allergies, most of that comes from too much gut inflammation. So one thing causing another thing, we fix the fight or flight response, we reduce the gut inflammation and the cellular inflammation, the immune system calms down and allergies decrease. And the last major common effect from adrenaline is a decreased Krebs cycle function. Your Krebs cycle is one of your energy cycles in your body. It's how you take glucose and make something called ATP, and ATP is energy. So if you're not making ATP, you have decreased energy. One of the best ways to improve this is through the use of specific B vitamins. Here's a list of the essential supplements. Don't be overwhelmed by this list right now. If you look on the left-hand side, those are the supplements that are most commonly used for 70% of the patients that walk in my office. They're very straightforward. They're all teeter-totter based. I'll explain that in a moment. And they have a tremendous effect on quenching the fight or flight response. The list on the right is commonly used for the other 30% of patients that come in the office. They need not only the basic protocol, but something else to help a specific system in need. So the basic protocol. I mentioned that hydrochloric acid drops in the state of fight or flight. So the very first thing that's going to be needed for a majority of people is to increase their stomach acid. Again, it's to help absorb minerals and proteins. Next is potassium and salt. Those are your primary electrolytes. We did a video on electrolytes and their importance. Please take a look at that. Calcium, magnesium, you need the two giant macro minerals that do so many things in the body, countless numbers of things. There's hundreds listed in the literature, but there are probably thousands of functions that these two giant minerals perform in the body. Citrate forms are best, and in the beginning, if you're not sure, do a 1-to-1 ratio of calcium to magnesium. Don't ever use carbonate forms of these minerals. As I've talked about in many other videos, carbonate forms are alkalizing. They slow down absorption. If you already have decreased acid levels in your stomach and now you're putting carbonated forms of minerals in, you're going to get very poor absorption and poor utilization. This next one, adrenal cortex, is one of my favorites. It's not used much. Most of the time when natural doctors see that there's adrenaline overload or adrenal fatigue of some kind, they attack the adrenals way too hard, in my opinion. They use too many compounds that are too strong and too stimulating. Adrenal cortex is the outer part of the adrenal gland. It's where cortisol comes from. People call cortisol the stress hormone. I call it the anti-stress hormone. The reason why is because cortisol is the brake and adrenaline is the gas pedal. Adrenaline, through fight or flight, is trying to drive you off the cliff. You need your brakes. Prolonged fight or flight means your brakes wear out before your gas pedal does, and if we restore the brakes and we pump the brakes, we slow the body down. So adrenal cortex is my favorite for doing that. Sometimes it doesn't work and you have to use adaptogenic herbs, but the majority of the time, adrenal cortex is the way to go. Vitamins A, D, E, and K. These are called the fat-soluble vitamins, and they act like hormones. We'll discuss them a little later. You cannot forget to use plenty of oils. Your brain is 50% fats and oils. Every cell membrane in your body is made of a bilipid layer. It's made of fat. You must use fats regularly in your diet, and many times you need to supplement with fats because inflammation so easily starts in the state of fight or flight that fats are used to try to quench those fires. And so most people are walking around essential fatty acid deficient. They start to get dry skin, they start to get itchy skin, and they'll start to get pain and aches in their tissues and joints. So fish or flax are examples of oils that are omega-3 based. You need omega-3 oils. But you also need the right ratio of omega-6 oils. So examples are like borage oil or evening primrose oil. Especially if there's a hormonal issue, evening primrose oil becomes very essential. Lastly, on the basic protocol, B12, B6, and folic acid. All of these in their activated forms. Activated folic acid is called 5-methyltetrahydrofolate or 5-MTHF for short. Many people have genetic concerns and their body does not process inactivated forms of these B vitamins into their activated forms. So thankfully, supplements allow you to buy and utilize the activated forms so you can skip that step if you're genetically having trouble moving along that pathway, and you'll see tremendous advantages by doing so. Also, it should be noted that even if you have a genetic issue with some of these conversions from certain types of vitamins to others, once you start using the activated forms, using a basic protocol like this, calming down your fight or flight response, your body becomes more nutritionally efficient. Your physiology improves. So let's say, we'll pick some numbers out of the air. Let's say you were only 40% efficient at converting folic acid in the state of fight or flight. Once you start to quench the fight or flight, you may become 60% efficient now, 65, 70% efficient. You still have a genetic consideration. It's still sluggish and not optimal, but it is much more efficient than it used to be, and you'll notice it in your symptoms, in their reduction, and in your overall well-being and health. Here's an example sheet, a supplement sheet that I might give to a patient describing each of these supplements we just covered and how you would take them, how much to take of them, and the reasons why you would take them on the right. So take a screenshot of this, look it over. If you want to try this on your own, go to the store and pick out a few of these things, that's fine. However, I have a whole nother video on 7 reasons why supplements don't work. You should pay attention to that video because just buying the cheapest thing you can get on the shelf may mean you're just putting in stuff that doesn't work. And that is unfortunately a very common situation in our society today. Many studies have shown that what's reported on the label is nowhere close to what's actually found in the supplement itself. So take that into consideration as you purchase your supplements. Let's call this next one the Basic Plus protocol. It's the other side of the equation, the list that I showed you earlier, that 30% of patients tend to need. So the top one here, acidophilus and bifidophilus. Acidophilus are primarily found in the small intestine, and they are acid friendly. They're okay with acid. Bifidophilus are not acid friendly, and they're found lower down deep in the colon. So if you have primarily a large intestine problem, you need bifidophilus, and you don't want a bunch of acidophilus. It gets in the way. People use combination products all the time, but combination products are not good if the teeter-totter is out of balance. So if your body is deficient in bifido and you put in a product that's got acido and bifido, you may not get the results you need to get. L-tyrosine and L-tryptophan. L-tyrosine is what you use to help boost your dopamine levels, and tryptophan is the amino acid you use to help boost serotonin. Each of these neurotransmitters has many functions in the brain for mood, happiness, memory. Too much serotonin is a migraine pattern. Too little serotonin is a depression pattern. I'll do some videos on dopamine and serotonin since they're so critical. Migraines are such a common problem these days. But for now, just know that a lot of people, to get out of fight or flight and to help their brain neurotransmitter status, they often have to take one or both of these specific amino acids to make sure their neurotransmitter dopamine and or serotonin are balanced. Iron, copper, and zinc. This is the most famous three-way teeter-totter in the body. Iron is gigantic for processing all sorts of hormones. Everyone knows you need iron for energy and to overcome anemias. Copper is a wonderful mineral that's frowned upon among many in the nutritional field, and that's a giant mistake. I use copper regularly myself. My body likes extra copper. It helps process dopamine. It helps process adrenaline. So if it's the right thing for you, you need it, and you should take it. Zinc, of course, is very powerful for the immune system. It's also very powerful throughout the hormonal pathways to help process progesterone specifically. But all of these help process neurotransmitters as well. BCAAs, that stands for branched chain amino acids. These are the primary amino acids that come from muscle wasting. So if you're in a state of prolonged fight or flight, your body will actually burn up your muscle to make sugar for your brain. The specific way it burns up muscle is to extract BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, things like valine, leucine, and isoleucine. So to prevent that from happening, you can supply through supplemental form branched chain amino acids or maybe even collagen, and that will help slow down that muscle wasting process that happens. How do you know if you're having muscle wasting? Well, if you go to the gym and you work out hard and you're really sore for several days, that's a clue. If you go to the gym, you work out, you don't make any gains at all. If you get really sore and injured easily when you're working out, those are big clues. Metabolically, if you have restricted your diet, you've cut your calories, and you can't lose weight, that may be another reason. Or you just generally don't feel well. You feel low energy and weak. Here are three more amino acids that are really critical to helping calm the fight or flight response. This is glutamine, glycine, and cysteine. Those three together make something in your body called glutathione. This is the most powerful antioxidant in your body. It works in every cell of your body. It has numerous functions. So glutamine, glycine, and cysteine are critical. However, it comes back again to the teeter-totters. It comes back to, do I need a lot of glutamine and glycine, or just glutamine, just cysteine, no glycine, just glycine, no glutamine? The combinations need to be discovered, and there's ways that I do that in the office. They're going to be difficult for you to figure out on your own. However, if you find a general glutathione boosting supplement, it would be one I would try, and just pay attention to how your body's responding to it and see if it's the thing that might work for you. This is one of the most important teeter-totters in the body. It is the balance between the Th1 and Th2 sides of the immune system. I have a video on that. People with autoimmune tendencies have either too much Th1, and it's running all the time, or too much Th2. One side of their immune system is way too hot. If you can figure out which side that is, then the way to help calm that down, let's say it's the Th1 side that's too hot, is to take supplements that boost the Th2 side. My video on which side of the immune system to support teaches you how to do that. Finally, estrogen and progesterone balance is critical. So many young ladies have cycle problems, they have hormonal trouble. Lastly, on the Basic Plus protocol is estrogen and progesterone balance. Estrogen-progesterone imbalances among women are an epidemic. Lots of women out there with PCOS, heavy flow, cramping, breast tenderness, extreme moodiness, and so on. And all of that has to do with how well you're processing and managing these two important hormones. If estrogen is high, for instance, then women will tend to have shorter cycles and heavier cycles. If progesterone is high, women will have longer cycles, but they may also have some PCOS symptoms such as ovarian pain at their ovulation time. So what needs to be determined is whether to detox or to build up these particular sex hormones. Now I know I just threw a lot at you, but it's great information and it's part of this series of videos that we're doing. All this information is also included in my book, so be sure to check out the video series or visit drscottmonk.com, pick up a copy of my book, Balanced, and we will see you at the next video.